Namaste and a pleasant noon to all our students, our staff, management of DV Education Network, Triton International College, Shepherd College, Shubhashri College. I welcome you all to our Tihar Special Edition podcast themed on youth inspiration and knowledge. As हामीसँग हुनुहुन्छ हाम्रो legend, Nimsdai Purja. Thank you for joining us, Nimsdai, and please welcome to the podcast session.
Thank you so much, my brother and DB Education for having me today. And I'm so excited. And every audience out there, तपाईहरु सबैलाई विजय दशमी तिहारको belated मंगलमय शुभकामना. And I'm excited to obviously have this awesome conversation at DB Education. Shall we crack on, brother?
Let's crack on. Thank you so much, Nimsdai. As a podcast topic Beyond Possible, and it's the same name of his recently published book. A top class book, this one. अब निम्सदाईको बारे थोरै background दिँदाखेरि निम्सदाईको जन्म चाहिँ म्याग्दी डिस्ट्रिक्टमा भएको छ and he's grown up in Chitwan, Nepal. Nimsdai's whole life and his successes and achievement of his project Beyond Possible have been articulately described in this book which I just showed you right now. अनि मैले आज बिहान मात्र यो बुक पढेर सकाए अनि मैले निम्सदाईको स्टोरी र उहाँको बुकको बारेमा few words भन्दा describe गर्दाखेरि there would be hope, determination, courage, love, family, leadership, teamwork, ambition, desires, craziness, imagination, being limitless, mountain community, global warming, fight, survival, clarity, striving for excellence, and true character. So overall, मलाई लाग्छ निम्सदाईको story is mainly about showing the humankind what was achievable if an individual put their body and mind to reaching a seemingly unachievable target. And imagination is the greatest power of all. But without any further delay, my questions for discussion areas ma jump गर्न चाहन्छु. So Nimsdai, my first question and area of discussion with you would be, तपाईले exemplary leadership qualities देखाउनु भएको छ across the whole of project Beyond Possible, leading with example, pulling your team through when all odds were against you, removing any forms of negativity. चाहे त्यो last minute prep talks किन नहोस्. Many countless moments which I could draw from the book. Along these lines, Nimsdai, could you give your thoughts on leadership to the youths and viewers today?
Awesome. I think leadership is all about, being true to yourself. And my key point here about leadership is to be a great leader. First of all, you got to be a key team player as well. If you're not a team player and if you can't see from their vision, you'll never be successful. And if you look into the history of any big companies or any big entrepreneurs or anybody who has been so successful, you can see it's the team, behind, that individual governing body or whatever it is, what it makes them, so good. So it's very basic. For me, whatever I do with my team or anything else, even that could be from the military background or from even my climbing background, you got to be a team player. And the way I did this project was, it was completely different style. I had this, legendary team of, my Sherpa brothers from, of course, from Nepal. And one of the trick, what I used was, I was giving them an opportunity as well. So for example, normally if people are climbing Everest, they would have some guy or some guide who have climbed Everest because they can tell you how long exactly it's going to take. They can tell you where the dangers are. They know the whole route. So that's a super advantage and all that. But what I did was, in most case scenario, was like, all right, brother, you haven't climbed that mountain. We're going to go and climb that mountain together. So it was something for them as well. So, and then some of my team members have climbed 8,000 meter peak with us. And also leadership is also about not trying to be bossy, all the time. If there's a gap between your team members and yourself, you will never be able to get that true gritty out of, what the problem is. So what I learned from my special forces, career was we never call sir anybody else, even though he's captain or major, whatever it is, we call by the first name. And then similar kind of style I brought into this team where I'm not the boss, So we had so much party together. We stayed in the same hotel wherever I go. So there wasn't no difference. And then what allows that for the team members, if there's any problem, they can speak up openly. And sometimes, he could be the smallest, not the smallest, he could be the youngest guy in the team member or least experienced. But He could have the brain of a 10 man, and you should be able to listen to this guy. You shouldn't say just like, oh, I have been, like, for example, I have been teaching in this university, or I have been climbing in this, mountain for like 10 years or 20 years, and I am right all the time. It doesn't work like that. As long as you have this flexibility of listening to everybody out there with a bigger perspective, then you will find out what the true problem is. And if you find what the true problem is, you always have the solutions. So yeah.
Thank you for taking that, Nimsdai. And like the way you touched on, how your teammates and your people who, there are a lot of climbers as well who climb probably 8 out of the 14 peaks along with you. So, I would just connect my next question, which would be related to that. Trusting our trusting our Nepalese mountain community people to the limelight via Project Beyond Possible. Much has been spoken about this cause by others too. However, your attempt at this has been another level. How much do you personally believe this has been achieved after the success of this project, Nimsdai, about Nepalese mountain community people, limelight and experience?
I don't think we are there yet, brother. And I don't really feel like, I have not been able to give the true justice, if I'm fair. Because the Nepalese climbing community has always been the frontier of 8,000-meter peaks. Everybody knows that. But then when all these people talk about, like our Sherpas or whatever, they say, oh, they are just like load carrier. They are strong in the big mountains, but not really, because they are guides as well. They can also make equally good decisions, and they are like, some of them are really good professional climber as well. So in order to bring that perspective, of course, we have been dominated by the Western world and all that, but gone are those days now. And of course, as you know, if somebody is climbing from US, they're going to support the climber from US, because that's where they belong to. But for us as a Nepalese, in a climbing community, I don't feel like our media are not that supportive about our people. So it was so tough. Of course, everybody, not only from Nepal, specifically from all over the world, said, Nims, awesome job. You put Nepal back again into the global map and the mountaineering community. But again, there's a lot to be done in this field, brother. And hence why, all my team members were all Nepalese. There wasn't any other people than us. And I just wanted to show the world that, our climbing community has equal capabilities. If they got the opportunities, they can lead from the front as well. They can do this amazing stuff. And then that was the kind of, one of the mission, alongside with, the main key was to show the world that what humanly is possible, and the climate change stuff. So, but yeah, getting back to your question, I don't think, we are there yet. There's a lot of hard work needs to be done.
A lot of work needs to be done. Correct. And I think, like, the way Sakonu after climb in 2019, I think the pandemic probably slowed down the momentum of the experience we're probably getting. But you do believe that, there's a lot to be done, and the communities will get highlight along the lines.
100%.
Sure. Thanks. No, Nimsdai, you also spoke about climate change, and you used the word. So, I think the next question, which is supposed to be later, I'll ask it now. Climate change, global warming, and its impact on the Himalayas. You've discussed it in brief across various chapters. I remember clearly. So I wanted to get your thoughts on it. How serious is it? And what are your, your thoughts general about this climate change impacts on Nepal, Himalayas specifically?
So, brother, this is a really, really serious cause. And I think, I urge, if you are taking it lightly, all those folks who are listening to this, this is basically, our chance to survive the human mankind. So if you don't do and act now, they're going to be disaster. Like how the dinosaurs, the whole like thing, they got disappeared. We're going to be like that, because the nature has always bigger things to say. All right. So last year I was just raising the awareness about climate change and all, but then just raising the awareness is not enough. We have to act on it. Okay. And like many of you who are listening and all, I'm not billionaire. I'm not a prime minister of big countries, or I'm not even anybody else. But we as an individual, every one of you, and as me, we have the chance and opportunity to make this change. So for example, if you leave the electricity on for the whole of the day, even you are not in the room, you are not helping out. Okay. And if 8 billion people in the world does that, It's massive. For example, we waste so much food. Why we do that? If everybody, it's not the biggest things. It's not a rocket science. As long as we care about that, there will be, something that you have played your part. And just let me highlight, what the problem is. So there is a massive, like, global warming right now. And then with the whole, like, the new evolutions, and in terms of like development and all not being eco-friendly, you know the earth is, like, warming so much. So the incident happened in Australia. The fire lit up in the forest itself, and there was a huge impact of that. And equally in Antarctica, the snow are melting, and if the whole of the Antarctica melts down, the whole earth gonna be under the water. And these are the bigger things. We call our house as a home, but not really, because nothing can survive if, the biggest, natural disaster. For example, when all these things happen in Australia, nobody could stop it. But now, if we act now, we can do something about it. And I, for us, specifically in Nepal, me being as a mountaineer, all this snow are melting, and that will have a huge impact to the probably in a million lives. That is depending upon on that, onto the coal, in the mountains. So, the simple line here is how we become eco-friendly, how we, support, sustainable environment. For example, people say, okay, we cut these trees down, but we're gonna plant like Salla or whatever it is. But the planting a similar amount of trees doesn't help with the sustainable environment and biodiversity. So I think there are a lot of younger generation in Nepal. I know it's so hard when you have to go against the hurdles that we all are facing now. But guys, as long as you hope and you believe that you can change, we can change all this, and we all have to play our part.
Fantastic. And I'll just absolutely agree, to what you just said, because climate change is absolutely real. And not only, I mean, like the way you described in your book about how when you first ascended, in 2013 as compared to 2018, in the 5 years, how much of change you witnessed. And you were talking about how layers of Khumbu Glacier and all have almost disappeared. So, and then again, there's areas of, glacial outbursts and all stuff like that. So I think it's pretty much real and serious. And I thank you for touching on aspects of, small things like switching off electricity when it's not required and stuff like that. So yes, it is real, and we gotta, do our own part towards it. So thank you for that. I'd like to move to the next question now, Nimsdai.
Sure.
Nimsdai, you've countered endless and major challenges, no doubt. And you were prepared for all challenges with positivity and strong hope and confidence. However, I never got the feel that you underestimated the challenges that lay ahead of you. Would you want to comment on the unseen challenges that is sure to lie ahead for all ambitious youths who wish to make it big in life? Nimsdai.
Good. I think that's a very broad question, brother, but I'll try to narrow it down. Like, for example, a lot of people can say, okay, I want to do this. I want to be like, for example, doctor. I want to be a pilot. I want to be whoever you aspire to be. But then talking is different, and doing the walk game is different, guys. And if you look, throughout my whole life, I was really underprivileged kid. I was born in Magdi, didn't even have flip-flops, really poor family. We used to have like chicken, on the top floor. That's how I used to sleep. Then equally, once my brother get into the Gurkhas, I went to the boarding school in Chitwan. I must say it's a small heavenly school, and if some people are listening over there. Then from there to going into the Gurkhas, I failed on my first attempt. Even though I was the fastest, I was super fit, I failed it. But then I keep trying again. Then from Gurkhas to going into special forces, nobody thought I will do it, because none of the Nepalese people who have served the British military in 200 years of history, nobody had made it.
You're the first.
To say that I want to be like in the SBS, and when you say that, what SBS is, like, we used to hear the rumor like, oh, it's like a James Bond, like, you get like all crazy stuff what James Bond does. It's a real thing. And even to imagine that, I was like, wow. And the training I used to do for that, honestly, guys, if I have to go in depth, it is in the book, but I'll just tell you, I used to wake up at 1 o'clock, carry 75 pounds, run 20 kilometers. Then I used to work as like my military life from 7 till 5 o'clock. Then I used to run back again 20 kilometers. Then I used to go for cycling 65, 65 miles, and swimming like, in a 25-meter lane. And I used to do like 100 of those. And I literally go to bed about like 11 p.m. Okay, this is the kind of, like commitment, dedication, and, effort you need to put. So when coming into the Project Possible last year, I said I will do it. Of course, there were so many problems. I was emotionally drained because I had given up the prestige job of being in special forces. I've given up my pension. I had millions of problems. I had like no funding, no support. There are, of course, hundreds of problems out there, but then climbing the 14 peaks, that is also another like challenge. It's the biggest challenge actually. And what I say to many people is like, there is nothing easy. If you really think what you want to be in life and you underestimate it, that goal, you'll never be successful wherever you go. Like for me, I'll just put this example. If I'm climbing this mountain, doesn't matter how hard or easy what people say is or the route is, I'm like, this is it. I have to give 100% to survive this. And that's what I do. I always give 100%. And that's from the mountain to writing this book to every session I train, everything. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time.
So yes, I mean, like the key point is that we all got to give in our best, given whatever is there we got to do for ourselves in life. So yeah, thanks for that. And Nimsa, this is my favorite area. I've also discussed with you before the show. You hope is God. You say, I mean, like we just feel, this hope has fueled your desire, your self-belief, your confidence in your abilities, and for you to never give up despite all challenges. For you to excel in your boarding school, becoming a regional athlete champion, to your joining the British Gurkha, to becoming part of the elite special forces, like you just mentioned, to achieving the impossible of climbing all 14 of tallest mountains with smashing world records in the process. Can you explain to us this element of hope for the youths and the viewers?
So we all have challenge in our life, and sometimes even though you are good at it, you will fail because like I'll just give you an example. There were like 25 vacancies when I first went for the Gurkhas, and out of 2,000 people who came over there for the selection, only 18 people passed that physical test, and I was amongst those 18 people. So technically, if there was 25 vacancies, I'm on that 18, I should be passing it, but I didn't get the pass. The guy who was selecting was like, yeah, I don't like you. And that's what it happens in our country. If they don't like you, even though you're capable, you don't make the cut. But then that doesn't mean you should give up. I went second time and I made it through. Okay. And whatever you are doing in your life, guys, specifically in our country, there's a lot of bureaucracy and like so many problems here. I have never seen. It's so hard to see in Nepal that somebody's supporting you when you're doing well. Everybody's trying to pull your legs and all. And I think that could sometimes lead into frustration. That can sometimes lead into like, oh my God, you know what? I want to give up. But you know what? Whatever people say, whatever he says, whatever she says, even some of the people who is mentoring you says, they never know you. Only it's you who know yourself better. And as long as you hope in yourself that you can do it, no one can take that away from you, because that is yours. Self-belief and hope. Doesn't matter what anyone says. As long as you believe in yourself and as long as you don't give up that hope to be who you want to be, it's always there and nobody can take that away from you. And it's the biggest asset we all have it, guys. So never ever give your hope. Keep going it and you will reach there eventually.
Marvelous. Very powerful. Actually, I have goosebumps a little bit while listening to you. So I'm sure it would have had a profound impact on others too. Just a quick one. I hadn't prepared for this question, Nimsdai, but I want to ask you this. Across the book, when I read, you always strove for excellence. For you, like it was either the best of it all or nothing. There was no middle ground for you. So what is your main drive? Which gives you the passion to pursue something like that, the best of it all, striving for excellence at all times. What is your mind frame that leads you to that aspiration? Yes.
The biggest thing here is, guys, if you don't want to give 100%, why even bother doing it? Why you want to waste your time in that? And then whatever you want to do, you want to be top of the league. And if you are just one of those like, kids, I just want to, average is okay and all that. Nah, you're not going to achieve anything, and if you are that, in that kind of a job or sports where you feel like average is good, then change it. Find something that you love it. You have the passion for it. And as long as you love that, what you're doing it, that naturally gives you the power to be the best, because that's what you want to do. That's what you love doing. So it's never too late to change your hobby. It's never too late to change your career or anything else. I started climbing first when I was 29 years old, and look where I am now. It's just a very small example. So guys, you know, anything what you do, you got to give 100%. Otherwise, you are just wasting your time. You want to live in every moment, and time is something precious that we never have it. Every dialogue we are talking now, it's gonna go past behind, and we cannot revert this back. So time is very precious, and as long as you put that in your mind, then you will work hard.
Nimsdai, very powerful words. Um, Nimdai, the next question is not connected to this one entirely. Just, but I want to get your viewpoints because, like, now that you've been living abroad, you've been living in the UK, but though you're a Nepali, now that you're coming back to Nepal and you see all the, the shortfalls that as a tourism industry would have in general, So just to get our viewpoints from your side, what do you think that we as a country could do on certain levels to improve the tourism environment for the country as well, in your perspective? Do you think there are certain angles that could be touched
Oh
upon?
yes, like in Nepal, there's so many like no. There's no. You cannot do this. You cannot do this. No, no, no. Why no? It should be the hub of extreme sports. Like for example, let's say, oh, you can climb the mountain, but you cannot fly from the mountain, as in like paraglide from the mountain. Why? If you go in like country like Switzerland, Germany, it's the hub, and we can be like that. That attracts so many foreigners to come in our country, because everybody wants to push their limit. Everybody has got different hobby, different mindset, and the the principle is simple, guys. Nobody want to die, in these things. Everybody want to live. So people will not just come and try to fly from the mountains or do anything like ski or whatever. Our government should be saying that you can do anything in Nepal. And that what that will do is like everybody will come to Nepal, all these extreme sports. This will give a huge platform in terms of media as well. People will know that Nepal is hub of in extreme sports. And then you know what? Then everybody's laughing, from the guy who's gonna pick them from the airport, the taxi driver, his family, to every hotels, to every guides, to all the way the permit, the government. You imagine that? Why are we limiting to ourselves? It should be limitless. Nepal should be limitless. And that's one thing I think, if anybody is listening here, any politicians who can make this happen, I will be so thankful, guys. And please make that as a Nepal as a hub for extreme sport, rather than saying no, you cannot do this, no, you cannot do that, no, you can. Let's make yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just to let the viewers know, what I discovered from reading the book was that there was one picture taken by Nimsdai, which got a lot of publicity and it went viral. There was a picture of a, what do you call, a jam, before climbing the Everest. And then there was a lot of controversy surrounding it. But then when he was called in for recommendation and suggestions, he gave pretty marvelous recommendations to the government, saying that, why don't you just allow anybody to climb Everest? Maybe people go to smaller peaks, the health certification levels and stuff like that. So I think Nimsdai has done a lot from his part in terms of contribution, in terms of advisory. But then implementation of that, still remains to be seen. But his heart is there towards the right direction for the betterment of the country and our tourism environment.
Yes, I hope the government will take that recommendation, because I live in that field. But of course, I was a bit upset when this media used it for the wrong purpose. It was completely, they used that picture for what their advantage was, just to make the noise. And it's not every day, people will be like that much queue on Everest. And just to give you a fact, guys, more than 20,000 people climb Mont Blanc. Mont Blanc is the highest mountain in Europe. In Everest, maybe 1,200 people. So if you compare the size, it's less. But then, Everest, people sell their house like me sometimes, and they also give up their job. They will be working for 2 months. And if there's like one weather window in the whole of 2 months, everybody has to go. But that doesn't mean it's overcrowded and all that as well. So, guys, whatever you do, listen to those people who have been there. Just because you are like, you can type from the decks, all these journalist friends as well, at least be humble. and do a bit in-depth research before you started, talking about this stuff. So that's my point, brother.
Thank you. Um, Nimsdai, we've got two more questions before we wrap up
Yes.
this, because we've got a simple short for you. My coming up question is your 14th peak among your this project Beyond Possible. Your last peak was Shisha Pangma, which is at 8,027 meters. So I want to ask you, how was the feeling when you submitted your final of the 14 peaks? Can you share with us the emotions and thoughts you underwent knowing that you did it and you went beyond possible? Nimsdai, please.
So, brother, like sometimes, the happiest moment is not always on the summit. I remember on this moment, I was going from camp 2, and I definitely knew that, me and my team would achieve this. And I had these goggles, and it was pretty steady climb, and I just had tears coming through my eyes. I was like, wow, all this hard work and everything is done. But then happiest moment of all this project was, brother, I got my mom to come and pick me up at the border. And then she couldn't see this vision, because she wasn't educated and all. But what she did, it was she gave up everything in her life, worked so hard for the better future of us. So even when I resigned from the special forces and all, she was heartbroken. She was like, as a younger son, I used to send money directly from my pay cut to my mom and dad. And when I resigned from all this job, it was heartbroken. And I said to my mom, this project is not about me, my job, or our family. It's bigger than that. And she couldn't understand. But then when she come and pick us up, we got to Kathmandu, and there was a massive hero welcome. There was so many press. There was a band, and my mom saw that. And last time I saw was when, like that in Nepal, was when David Beckham was here. And then I was just so happy to see my mom happy. She was smiling, and that was the happiest moment, brother. And she's not with us anymore, but just for her to see that moment, yeah, that was the happiest, and highlight, of this whole project.
Wow. Hey, you know what? When I was reading your book, and when I came to that point where your mom actually was there at the airport to see you and to see all of that thing, and her demise happened after that. So that was the only what do you call the good thing that I got out eventually, because she got to experience it full time. But that being said, really sorry about your mother's.
Thanks, brother.
But you did it, Nimsdai. That's most important. And she saw
Thank
it
you.
with her eyes. She's gonna take it
Yeah.
with her, So great. Thanks for that. Now, Nimsdai, my last question to you. What are your, while reading this book, like everything was there, but then it ended off without saying what are your upcoming plans and your dreams and your aspirations. So I want to ask you, what are your further dreams and aspirations? And after you take that, could you also give your message in general to the youths of the country? Nimsdai.
All right, folks. I haven't announced it, but some of the people already know that I'm heading towards K2. So K2 is the world's second highest mountain. It's the only mountain in the world above 8,000-meter peak that is still, remain on climb. And if you look into the history of the mountaineering, every 8,000-meter peak, it's been climbed by somebody else. It's all the like Western European and all. We as a Nepalese, being in the frontier of 1,000 meters, we haven't done that. So I hope, I'm going there again with the full of Nepalese team. And if we can, put our flags over there, it will be great. But if not, at least we tried. So that's the mission. I'm still working on few sponsorship. It's been really tough again. And as long as those sponsorships comes off, I will be like, heading towards that directions. But the message from, all these things, the book Beyond Possible and everything is very simple, guys. Do not let anyone tell you you are impossible. As long as you believe in yourself and you commit to that, you give 100%, and every problem, everything in life, what we do, there will always be challenges. You need to be able to turn that negativity into positivity. There's always positive aspect of everything. And as long as you can see that and you believe on you will achieve your new possible, guys. So that's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are words from a legend, Nimsdai. What happened was, just to give people a little background. So we were supposed to actually have this talk show sometime next week. So Nimsdai was in Nepal and I contacted him. And Nimsdai was like, can we change the date? I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, can we do it today? Then I was like, hey, shocked. And he's like, can we do it tomorrow? So in the process, what happened was, So in the process, what happened was Nimsdai had his media person send me this book. He sent me this book, and Nimsdai told me, Tarun, can you finish this book in 24 hours? And I had never done that in my life, you know. So I read this book. I finished this whole book day before yesterday, last night, and I didn't sleep the whole night, and I carried on with my day because I was so pumped with adrenaline. I couldn't sleep because I was wondering, man, if he could do something like that, at least I could stay awake the whole night and finish the book, So
Thank you.
No, absolutely. And when you read this book, I got a really big connect with you and your life because all this while I've only seen him on social media. But then when you read the book, you understand the whole emotional aspect of things. You understand things from an empathetical point of view, So I mean, like he's a legend like you use the word limitless, James Bond would, be ashamed. I mean, like that's his level. So and I'm very proud to know that actually, you're from Nepal. And somebody who's achieved this kind of feat is a Nepali that way, So it gives me immense pride to have you over here, Nimsdai, and I thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure, like all the viewers over here had a great time today with your little short presence. So Tio Bande, ma feri dhanyawad bhanna chahanchu. Ani, I would like to.
Can I say last word, brother? Can I say a
please,
few? Okay. So to all the listeners, and if you think I'm superhuman, I'm not, okay? I'm going to be brutally honest. What I did in my life was I always have a clear ambition. I wanted to do what I love doing it. So I absolutely believe that you as a person, you have your own talent. We all cannot be Albert Einstein. We all cannot be Usain Bolt. We all cannot be, Muhammad Ali. But you can be someone else. You need to find what you are good at, something that you love doing it. And if you put your time and effort into it, you could be superior in whatever you do. So find that click, guys. It's never too late to start anything else. And at the end, we all are human. We all have superpower. So believe in that vision, guys. So again, I'm really normal guy. I just pick up those things that I was good at, and I work maybe 10 times harder than the remaining of the population, and that's what it made me feel like superhuman. But guys, I'm like you all. So that's all I wanted to say.
I mean, Nimsdai, thank you. But then I will also remind the viewers again. So I'll just read out a small thing to show about his crazy abilities. So Nimsdai had not slept for 5 straight nights during his ascent of Dhaulagiri, and then straight headed for Kanchenjunga, and then climbed Kanchenjunga in one push for the next 24 hours. So that's 6 sleepless nights and 2 major summits, all while rescuing people from dying. This gives you an idea about what levels we are talking, because that is where his humanity comes in play too. That is what differentiates Nimsdai, and that's why I'm a big fan of you, Nimsdai.
Thank you, brother.
Big time, really. So I would like to just end off by thanking everybody for being available today, and then I would also again like to remind people that COVID is still on. COVID is a very serious reality. Tihar is getting Tihar Sokirasa. I mean, next week they come lagi so please, after care gardeners, after family care gardeners. Please put on your masks, social distancing factors on. Please don't get complacent. Like Nimsdai one mentioned in the book, you have to be sharp. He gave an example. When you're driving a car, you're focusing while you're having a conversation. So similarly for COVID, yes, life is going on, but please be careful too. Don't forget that aspect. And we just can only hope that life will resume back to normal. So Tio Bande, once and for all, again, thank you everybody. Wishing you a nice working week coming ahead. Take care, everybody. Nimsdai, thank you once again.
Salute, and thank you for good, and thanks for everyone who joined us on this conversation. Super thank you, everyone.
True. And one last thing before closing, I would like to say, Nimsdai, this book is so nice. I'm going to have a few copies of this books in our college libraries, for students to
thank you.
We're going to do that, and we should read this book because this is a book about hope and ambition and possibility, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. And brother, last one. And I think if they want to buy this book, they can get it from Daraz, and also
this book is available in Daraz, and we can I think Daraz and a couple of other stores, Pilgrim's books.
All the bookshops,
yeah. So you can go there and even do this. And please, it's a must read. I strongly recommend everybody. So Tio Bande, Nimsdai, thank you again. All the students, everybody, our viewers. We look forward to our next program. Have a good day ahead. Salute, everybody. Nimsdai.